Now, what are you doing here? Are you going braided line and like creating somewhat like of a leader?
Yeah.
And was that surgeon's knot?
This one is called Alberto.
A what?
Alberto.
Okay, never heard of that either.
Yeah, it's an Alberto knot. So, his question was, why are we going braid to fluorocarbon? Why wouldn't I just throw straight braid or just throw straight fluorocarbon? Or there's a lot behind that. So the braid is a lot more, it's smaller diameter for one. This is way smaller diameter than like 12-pound test fluorocarbon. And it's more limp. What I mean by limp, like if you can imagine, this is more like weed eater cord, and the braid is more like sewing thread, you know, slicker. You can see like it's just not as, I can wrap it around my hand and it just goes right back to form, right? It's fluorocarbon. Look out, you can see it coming off the spool now. You wrap that around your hand, like I'm gonna wrap it around my hand. Watch all the memory it'll have. See all of that coils? That's not easily managed on a spinning reel, especially when you started getting bigger pound tests. It's hard to throw even more than 10-pound tests fluorocarbon on a spinning reel because it wants to come off the reel. But the braid is manageable, so you can use it. Like you can use it and it doesn't want to come off the reel. It wants to, you know, you can cast further because it doesn't have all that memory in it. So we use the braid here. Now obviously you can see that a lot easier than you can fluorocarbon. See, like this is clear. It's clear. It's actually more abrasion resistance. Like if I rub this against a rock versus if I rub braid against a rock, braid will snap right off the point. It's really strong, but if you rub it across barnacles or any kind of thing, it's going to break really fast. So right at our line, we're going to use this fluorocarbon. It's nearly invisible. I'm not going to say invisible because I put it down in water. I can see it, which means it's not invisible. But can't see it as well. Yeah, it's a little straight, a little spongy, which is always good too. Sometimes you'll have one skin hook and you can keep him pegged because you got a little bit of sponginess there. And now since I got a main line of braid, it won't, you know, it's easily manageable. I can use whatever size like leader that I want. So if I wanted to throw 20-pound tests on here, which in saltwater I do a lot, I'll have 15-pound tests main line and then 20-pound tests on my leader. But I'm not doing that here. It's just 12. But you wouldn't be able to spool this spinning rod up with 12-pound test fluorocarbon. It'll all come off. But I don't want to go down to 10 or 8 because that's just too small. So it just gives you more flexibility on how you can rig your stuff. There you go, braid to fluorocarbon. The fluorocarbon. That's why I use it. You can cast further. You got more sensitivity. There's some disadvantages too, but there's more advantages.
Is there a particular length that you go for?
Yeah.
Depending on.
No, pretty much for me it's the same all the time. Okay. What I do is this. This is how I measure my fluorocarbon. So I take it like this. I spread my arms like one time. I do like that, however much that is, and then I give it like I got a little malfunction here, and then I'll do a half. So it's like this. It's one, and then I grab it here, two. Cut it here. It's not a science behind it or nothing. People will try to make it complicated. So was that 6 foot or 8 foot? I'm like, no. Keep it simple. This. That's all. They're like, well, we don't know. Is it 6 foot or 8 foot? Your arms are longer than mine. Oh God. It's like, just do it. Your arms are that much longer. It doesn't matter. You're gonna cut it off anyway. So just keep it simple on the knot time, like on the leader length. You'll be much better off. A few inches doesn't matter. And I'll cut that off by the end of the day. It'll probably be a little bit shorter because I'll break off some or retie, and it'll get shorter throughout the day. But if it's too long, it comes through the guides and not that well. And if it's too short, it's too short. I don't know about what happens if it's too short, but too long is usually too bad for me. I don't like it. I'd rather have it shorter than longer. Downside to it all, wind starts blowing like that braid's really light and it floats and it pull your bait around a lot. Can't get it down sometimes.
Oh, I see.
So sometimes I'll spool up with straight fluorocarbon because of that. At times, it took me a long time to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean,
Cause you go to make a cast, and your crap would be just go all the way
wow.
across the creek. And you're like, dude. Then I noticed when I started using straight fluorocarbon, the line's heavier and it sinks, and you can just control it so much better. But you can't, you can't use more than 10. If you're fishing somewhere where you break off a lot, like you fishing around rocks or something. Like in saltwater, it would be like around oyster bars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to throw braided fluorocarbon because you're going to break off. So I'll use straight fluorocarbon so I don't have to retie 3 knots every time I break off. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both. How do you say they're winding? They're freshy. Freshy means new. They use freshy. Freshy is good for me.